What's going on YouTube? Stocks by the numbers. Welcome back. Wanted to do another quick video here on something that someone asked me to look into here. Pretty interesting story here. AST SpaceMobile, ticker symbol ASTS, listed here on the NASDAQ. There's a company, as you see here, SPAC, back looks like tail end of 2020. And you can see it had some hype around it. And it's kind of just been in like this downtrend basically for the last couple of years. So I wanted to take a look at it, see what's going on. So ASTS NASDAQ right now, $3.74 a share. It's down 4 cents, a little over 1% here on the day. And the company recently took a hit because they did a new offering. But right now we have a market cap of $813 million. The company's bleeding right now. They're losing money per share, and they're not really doing much. And looks like they're burning through, I want to say, maybe about $100 million. A year. That's what I was seeing here. But you see that sporadically. A couple of million came in over the years, but right now looks like the company is more in a wait and see period. And basically what they say they're doing is building this broadband cell network in space, apparently, to basically make these phone calls and have it uninterrupted. And I know if you go back and you look at some of these articles, I was reading it before. Honestly, I don't remember how far back it was. But yeah, here, if we go back, let me zoom in a little bit. See, we zoom in, and it was right here, June 28th. You can see new offering, upsized, almost 60 million of new stock. So that's why anytime there's a new offering, obviously the stock takes a hit usually, unless it's being offered at current market value, which usually it never is. But yeah, so they offered more shares, stock went down, and see, things like this are good news. As you see back in May, set to join Russell 2K, Russell 3K. That's fantastic. That is much more impressive than people think, and it's much more important than people think as well. And now any Russell funds, so to speak, could potentially have shares of this in it. And also because it's now on more of a recognized index, you may have more, not necessarily like hedge funds or anything like that, but you could potentially have more fund managers at least keeping an eye on it, or potentially considering taking a position with it in their fund down the road, because it looks like the company might not be rocking and rolling until about 2024. And if you look here, no, that's not what I wanted to see. Maybe it was on their website. But if you go to the website, as you see, this is basically what the company does, right? So it's like a space broadband network thing happening here. And as you see, aims to provide uninterrupted coverage across the globe. So something like this, like if it could take off, it could be pretty big. Obviously now it's more in the state of infancy. So, like I said, they're just bleeding. They're in losses right now. They really have no income. First ever 5G connectivity from space to everyday smartphones achieved by AST SpaceMobile. As you see, that was about 3 weeks ago. And this is basically what they wanted to prove. And now, as you see, they have done it. So the thing is, though, is that they're not estimating or expecting this company to really start bringing in revenue again until mid-2024. So it could be a good story, but we always do talk about pricing and timing, and we do try to shy away from feeling urgency to buy a situation like this at a current price when there is no urgency. Okay, now of course anything can happen. Just because I feel that we may be able to get a better price, tomorrow the company could make an announcement and the stock could pop to $5, right? So, of course anything can happen. I don't need to tell you guys this, but as we look here, we have two analysts giving ratings on this stock right now. One with a strong buy, one with a buy. So out of two people, they're both basically telling you to buy it. Showing an average price of 15, but I have a feeling that those numbers came in before the company made that new offering. But even if you come down here, look, right, there's nothing going on, and then mid-2024, you see the company expecting to bring in $7 million for Q2 of 24. But for the year, you can see estimates of north of $46 million. But then look what happens after that. Even in 2025, $178.5 million. Of course, that is a massive jump in revenue, about 400% year over year. So if they do happen to hit that benchmark, that would obviously probably translate well into a share price reaction. But then look at 2026. $2.29 billion. So this is what I'm saying. This is a situation where they're expecting much, much bigger and better things just a couple of years into the future. But the question is, do we have to buy it right now at $374? And in my opinion, the answer is no. So this is where they made the offering, okay? Again, it chunked down. It kind of started bouncing around. This is the last time that they reported earnings. You can see back August 14th. And you can see that it's been in this tightening range, but more importantly, coming over here at the top of the screen, the O, the H, the L, the C. Again, that's the open, the high, the low, the close. You can see the low here at 360, and then we come to this candle here, and you can see low 360. And now what's going on is this, to me, it looks like a descending triangle, which of course is bearish, and it could happen potentially inside of the next week or so. But it could break early, of course. It could break just in the next couple of days. But in my opinion, I think it's going to break down and it's going to go even lower than this 360. And the recent 52-week low was back here right before the bull drop there, December 28th of 22. And you can see the low at the top of the screen, 355. And in my opinion, I think it's going to break and it's going to go lower. Now, I understand the company is, we'll look at the financials in a second, and the company does have assets outweighing liabilities, but here at a touch over $800 million, with them currently bleeding, and of course, potentially not even getting even a couple of mil in revenue until Q2 of 24, that's what I mean. That's still a little bit of a ways away. And also, I'm sure you guys have been watching that markets have been much more volatile lately, and we've been chunking down definitely more red than green. So that's why I've been calling for something like that to happen for quite some time now. And if you're in the Discord, shout out to the Discord group. Obviously, basically almost every day, it seems like if your timing is correct, you can just call out puts on the Dow and the NASDAQ, and you could probably be right like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 times, especially if you're in and out, if you have those day trades, if you're able to scalp. But again, if we are potentially in a correction or we're in just like a selling off phase, obviously it's going to be a smaller company like this that may potentially not really have a leg to stand on because they're not doing any business. It may be a company like this that takes a little bit of a chunk down. So that's why I think we could potentially see new lows, and we could even see sub $3. And I know that may seem extreme, especially if you're involved in the stock, up at $5, $6 a share. But, again, I mean, obviously this happens. We've all bought stocks and then had them go down. And of course, on the flip side, like I always say, with situations like this, I'm assuming you bought it more for the long term, right? So even if you're down a chunk right now, that's why I always tell people, try to remain confident, try to remain positive. Remember why you bought it, what you expect to happen. And like I said, it may take several years, but even being down a few dollars a share now, towards the end of 23 here, if we turn around in 2026, 2027, and the company's doing $2-3 billion like they were expecting, I mean, again, you're not going to come back and be that upset. But again, we could potentially take a little bit of a haircut here, even if that market cap goes down to like 700 million, that's what I mean. You're still talking what, like a 12.5%, 13% haircut. So that would actually bring it into the low threes. But I have a feeling again that this is going to break lower. But of course, again, this is just my opinion. I'm sure a lot of you have been watching the stock for much longer than I have, so you might be able to tell us something. But again, also, this is like the long-term bottom support trend line here. See how, like, it cuts through there, but I went to this bottom over here, not this bottom, because that obviously would be more extreme, right? If we were to come down and draw our trend line there, see how I'm touching that bottom candle there? So if we come down and boom, right? Now you're even lower. Look, now you're down to $2, right? But if we zoom in a little bit and we just kind of stretch this one out, boom, and now we go back to auto. Nope, that threw me off. Okay, so potentially, right, if this line meets up with the bottom support trend line, right, you see where I'm going with this? So even if it breaks down and potentially hits here, you see what I mean? Look, you're looking at like 280. And that's why I'm saying that we could potentially have a pretty decent haircut here, percentage-wise. And instead of trying to force your way in here at 374, you might actually be able to get in for like 274, 284. So in my opinion, right now, I would be patient, especially since me personally, you know, when I drew this out, like I said, we have our double bottom here. And of course, it could pop up from a double bottom, but based on what I'm seeing here, in my opinion, I think it's going to maintain this descending triangle and then break down and give us new lows. So I'm really not seeing any urgency here. However, whenever it was 3 weeks ago here that they, you know, did their little test here, you know, I mean, that's good news. That's good news. But again, they're talking about, you know, $100 million line of credit for a facility and whatnot. So that's why, if they're still in those infancy stages, then that's why I say personally that there is no urgency, right? Almost reminds me of, I don't know, I think, I want to say Mullen maybe, or Lordstown. I don't remember which one, but I remember people kept asking, like, you know, yeah, like, what do you think? Like, you think it's going to move soon? And I remember we looked at the company's website, and right there on the company's website, it said, like, they weren't expecting to be in production until, like, early to mid, like, 2024. So, again, you know, a lot of these companies have great ideas, but that's why I try to tell you guys to follow the money, and you don't necessarily have to force your way in just because someone else you know bought it, or because these kids get it trending on StockTwits or something like that. Remember, these kids get their stocks trending so that you can help them out. If a stock is trending, then it should be trending. That's it, end of story. ABC got upgraded, you know, by 2-3 people. Boom, the stock's popping. Okay, I understand why it's trending. Oh, this company, the CFO was cooking the books. The stock's down 28%. Yeah, that should be trending. Like, you know what I'm saying? So when you see just something random like this trending, and people are just talking about the hype behind it. Oh, you'll be able to, you know, make calls from Mars, you know, crystal clear. Like, listen, that is phenomenal. And I'm sure when they perfect it and actually roll it out, it's going to be, you know, potentially life-changing. However, right now, the company really isn't doing anything. And I appreciate the fact that you're involved and you might be down, so you're trying to get it trending on all these sites and whatnot. But again, at the end of the day, we follow the money. And right now, unfortunately, the money is pointing downward instead of upward. But I just wanted to touch on the financials very quickly before I let you guys go. We come over here. Where was it? Yeah, so you can see the drop in cash. This is what I was talking about. Cash and cash equivalents, $324.5 million. Then you come down here to from 21 to 22, cash is down to $239.25 million, right? So that's why the company, you're looking at like 80, 90, 100 million a year until they actually get going. However, again, you could see that assets are outweighing liabilities, which in my opinion is actually a very good sign for a company at this stage right here. And you can see assets over 400 and change, and liabilities looking like 77, 78 million. So very good ratio there. And again, in the long term, this one could work out, and especially if a couple of positive headlines and catalysts come out for the stock, I can see it even getting back to those SPAC levels, which of course is $10 a share. So from here, that would be a huge percentage gain. But again, do we have to force our way in here right now at this moment at 375? And in my opinion, I have to say no. In my opinion, I have to say no. We look at the free cash flow here, and you can see just losing about 40, 50 million a quarter. And that's why, again, you have that potential. This is why I talk about the potential if something, when these stocks are overvalued in the numbers, if it has the potential to come down, I promise you, they will bring it down. I promise you that. And again, it might not be, you might not get absolutely destroyed. I'm not saying down to $1, potential NASDAQ delisting. Like, I'm not saying all that. I'm not saying all that. But like, 20, 30% drop from here seems extreme. But in my opinion, it should. It should. But again, that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. But as you see here, just negative millions across the board because you're waiting for the revenue to start coming in. Now, switching over here quarterly again, you can see the assets, it has been bouncing around. It was almost 450 million and then drops down to sub 400 million, and now it's showing back up above 408 million. But the liabilities overall have kind of been trending downward, as you see. Was north of 90 million back the tail end of 21 going into early 22. And then it was dipping down into the 70s and reclimbed and almost regained that 90 million mark, but has since slowly been dropping downward, and now it's sitting at 72.59 million as of last quarter, which, going back again, just these handful of quarters, is the lowest it has been. And the equity, you can see, at 2 points was above 350 million, but minus those points, now it's at 335 million, which is higher than, I guess, the median average, you can say, going back the last 6-7 quarters. But of course, again, the company holding some debt, and looking at the book value, it's less than 50% to where the stock is currently trading right now. So that's why I'm not talking about an extreme drop here, but if this does go from 375 to 275, again, it would still be roughly like 40% above book value, and of course the market cap would be maybe like 600 million in change, which again, looking at the assets here and looking at the equity here of about 300 million, but the company does have assets outweighing liabilities, so that's why I can understand a drop down to a market cap of like 500-600 million. But again, it's just my opinion. You guys may see something that I don't see. The return on assets, equity, and invested capital, as you see, quarter over quarter is just consistently dropping. Now basically at the highs going back to the tail end of 21. So this is why, we know how these newer companies are. They're bleeding in the beginning. They have to, secure financing for facilities, and they have to roll out, the production lines and whatnot, and then once they start doing that, then they have to increase efficiency to increase margins. But again, the company right now is basically kind of in step one, and that's why I say that there really is no urgency here. As you see, a company right now trading 2.3 times book, we looked at before, which technically going back the last several quarters is the lowest it's been. But again, the company is in a slow downtrend and just a long-term sell-off. Reason being, again, because we don't have urgency right now. Even if you look at it, if you do like a revenue to market cap comparison, again, if they bring in 46 million for the year at this current market cap, you're talking what, like 15, 17 times annual revenue. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like, in my opinion, it has to come down before it does go up. However, I give the company credit. A couple of weeks ago, doing that test there, and supposedly they had the call uninterrupted. I mean, that's really good news. That's really good news for the company. But obviously, in the short term, it's not going to translate to a massive move for the stock. I just think it's going to take more time. And again, you can see going into 24, they really have nothing estimated until mid, potentially late 24. And we do have big pops and drops, but again, we're overall in a long-term downtrend, and the company just made a new offering, and we have a potential descending triangle, which is bearish, and that could potentially bring us down to riding along this bottom trend line. And if we do hit this bottom support trend line, obviously, as you see, you're looking at about 2.5. So, of course, that is possible. I mean, it could just drop a few cents here to 355 and make a double bottom here at that low and then have a bounce back up. But in my opinion, I don't think that's going to happen. And it's probably going to continue to sell off. But great story, though. Great story. Switching over here to stock charts very quick. There's really nothing that catches your eye. You can see the tightening taking place here with the Bollinger Bands. MACD relatively flat. RSI sitting a touch below 46 on the daily. Really not telling us much. You can just see the consistent decreases in the 200 and 50-day moving average lines, the red and the blue lines. And switching over here to the weekly, you can see RSI sitting at about 39 1/3. 50-day moving average consistently dropping. Stock in this downtrend. And looks like the MACD was almost about to cross, but yeah, in my opinion, I think it's going to turn downward and south. Obviously, if the company makes some sort of announcement or someone comes in with a sizable investment into the stock or something like that, we can always come back and reevaluate the situation. But chances are, probably have 6 months from today before they potentially bring in that $7 million for the quarter that they're expecting in Q2 of 24. And again, if they do start rocking and rolling, bringing in a couple of bucks, and forecasting bigger and better things from that point moving forward, again, we can come back and reevaluate and reanalyze the situation. But right now, AST SpaceMobile, looking good, but nothing of urgency here, in my opinion. And I'm going to end it there. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually very quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. Share the video, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. I'll look at companies like this, and I'll just throw my 2 cents. I'll throw my hat into the ring. And again, not everybody is right, not everybody is wrong, but sometimes the 1 or 2 ways that we're looking at a situation, then you get a completely different point of view out of left field, and it does potentially alter and add to your overall strategy, your overall due diligence, if you will. And sometimes other people just see something that you don't, and that's why we have these conversations. So that's why I always say, if you have anything to add, if I made any mistakes, or if you heard about like a big deal that AST is setting up to sign or something like that, let us know down in the comments section. And I could be wrong here, but just wanted to give my slant here. But more importantly, if you would like, you can join the Discord link in the description of every video. And if I have any potential short-term call-outs or any updates or anything, I'll let you guys know in the Discord. And I'll do all of this. And all I ask, do me a favor, handshake agreement, push the subscribe button. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, as I always say, I understand that markets are rough, they're rocky, they're uncertain, they're very volatile. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to catch you guys in the next one.